Alright, so I've been watching a couple YouTube videos and I've been a little interested in the whole fixing up and reselling of lawnmowers more as a hobby than anything else, especially with the whole COVID epidemic going on. Working from home, having a little bit more time on my hands, I was able to buy this lawnmower off Facebook Marketplace for $30. Owner says that it wasn't starting. Looks like he's just left it outside for about maybe 2 years. He said it worked last season, just doesn't work this season. I did try using this instant starting fluid and it worked, so it tells me that at least it has compression and spark is somewhat good. My suspicion that is probably water that got into the gas can and is causing it not to start. Maybe the carburetor is gunked up. Now, I've already done this before. Here is a 2007 model Briggs and Stratton engine, 190cc. This was in horrible shape. It was dirty. It looked like it was left in a barn for several years. I was able to fix this back up. My intention was I was going to resell this, but it's just such nice shape, and you don't really see any more of these 190cc engines anymore. I just can't pull myself to sell it. So I have an electric lawnmower, and I think it's always a good idea to maybe have a backup lawnmower. So this is now going into my inventory. But in any case, I started learning how to fix lawnmowers in my last Husqvarna. I had a lawnmower that was very high maintenance, and I got a little frustrated with it, and I ended up selling it and buying an electric lawnmower just because it was too much high maintenance. But now that I have a lot of time on my hands, I actually wish I still had that lawnmower so I can tinker around with it. So one thing I will say, I am not familiar with these newer Briggs and Stratton engines. This is gonna be the very first time I ever work on this, specifically this plastic carburetor. I've been interested on how these plastic carburetors work. I've seen a lot of videos of folks who work on them. My experience so far has been with these older Briggs and Stratton engines, specifically the 190cc. I'm very impressed. I like these engines. They are reliable. A lot of people give these engines a hard time, but most of the time I find that these are very reliable engines. The reason why people have trouble with them is typically because they don't know how to take care of them. So I already have the full intention of draining out all the gasoline and cleaning up this carburetor. So I'm going to go ahead and wet this thing down. I just want to do a quick overview of the whole process. I am a novice. I am not an expert. This is just me doing this as a hobby. So again, bought this $30. Go ahead and clean this up. I have a pressure washer. I'm going to use this foam spray that you usually use on a car. I spray some soap on it, then pressure wash it down. All right, I already foam gunned the lawnmower. We're gonna go ahead and let it soak for a little bit. Pressure wash it, do the same thing on the bottom. It's starting to look much better already. I got this bungee cord opening. I'm gonna go ahead and try to pressure wash more. All right, so here's some quick observations I'm making. So I need to clean this. So I need to take the top cover off what I just did. But what I've noticed about these new Craftsman is they're not built solid anymore. This is, yes, a steel deck, but it has plastic in the front and plastic in the back. So when you take off the cover, you pretty much are compromising the integrity of the actual frame. And here's another thing. Look at these gears. When did plastic gears become acceptable? So this kind of confirms my decision. I'm keeping this one right here. So for the same thing, this is a front wheel drive. You just take one bolt off, comes right off, and you can easily maintenance the front pulley and take care of it, wash it. But with this thing, man, and look how many screws I had to take off. All right, well, this is gonna be one that I flip. So let's just see how this goes. Well, how the mighty have fallen. I mean, just look at this. This is the front, and look how wobbly it is after you just take off a plastic housing. All the structure falls on that. It's not made of steel or anything. So this is metal, and this is plastic. That is plastic. What's happened to Craftsman? I mean, I know they sold it off, but geez, I mean, this is plant obsolescence at its finest right here. Using plastic parts on a lawnmower. Not a big fan of this. All right, so you got plastic parts held together in by screws. So these can be stripped out very easily. Oh, Craftsman, I'm so disappointed in you. What happened to you? All right, so here I am taking apart the carburetor. Took off a couple of these gaskets because this carb cleaner can swell these up or ruin them. So there's several YouTube videos already on how to do this. So this is not a tutorial, but this is just me taking apart a plastic carburetor. This is the very first time I've ever cleaned the plastic carburetor. I've cleaned metal carburetors from Yamaha, Honda, and Briggs and Stratton a couple times already. But this is my very first time ever cleaning out one of these. That's my understanding that these cartridges are the ones that tend to go bad. So I have several wires that I'm gonna go ahead and try to clean little holes out. Use some carb cleaner, put it back together, obviously with the seals. Clean up the inside of the engine a little bit, make it nice and pretty. I have some other parts I'm gonna go ahead and clean up as well too. But put it back together and see if I can put this on sale. These are the jets that tend to go bad. I believe that the reason why this was not running is because whoever the previous owner of this lawnmower was left the gasoline out for quite some time. I found quite a bit of water inside the gasoline, and I think that's the reason why it wasn't running. The carburetor more or less isn't that dirty. Keep in mind, this is my first time cleaning a plastic one, but it doesn't look too bad to me. My diagnosis is I think water got into the gasoline. Whoever owned this left it out in the sun, and a lot of the plastic just kind of faded. So the combination of it just looking old and faded and water inside the gas can is probably why the owner just sold it for so cheap as $30. More or less, this is in great shape. There isn't anything broken. All the pieces are working. The tires are in good shape. The self-propel is in good shape. I just think it needs a really good cleaning. Put fresh fuel in there, and then I think I should be able to put this up for sale. So my goal is to try to make it nice and pretty, refresh some of this black plastic, bring some life back to it, make it look newer, and I think it's going to look really good in the picture. So this is kind of what I'm talking about. See how the plastic isn't faded compared to plastic that has been restored. This plastic used to look very similar to this, and I've restored it. So I'm going to try to make all the plastic trimming look nice and pretty. Here's the gas can. It's filthy. I took it apart. I'm going to go ahead and rinse this off. So this is what I find to be very useful, Pledge. Just using Pledge on plastic and on metal, it brightens it all up. Man, this stuff just does a really, really good job of bringing the plastic back to life. So, I just started. I'm gonna go ahead and start cleaning this up. All the trimming is gonna be pledged up and nice and shiny. I'm gonna put it back together. Carburetor's already cleaned up right now. Piece it together, clean up all the little pieces, put fresh gas in it, and start it right up. And the last thing I'm gonna do is go underneath the deck, sharpen the blade, probably use some silicone spray just to kind of bring some life to it. I'm gonna take a look at that spark plug. I've yet to do that. I'll make sure that is either cleaned up or replaced. And I'm gonna take some really nice pictures of this and put it for sale. So here I am piecing it back together bit by bit. Trying to get the carburetor and all the linkages set up. Have the gas can already connected. I just have to put the clamp on. But it's just one process at a time. So I checked out the spark plug and it's in really good shape. Go ahead and put this back in. Put the cover back on, put gasoline in it for the first time and see if it fires up on its own. I would imagine this is going to take several pulls considering that it hasn't been turned on in quite some time. It's hard to do this one-handed. Two pulls. Wow. Pretty cool. This thing runs a lot quieter than my last one, I can tell you that much. Alright, so off camera I did sharpen the blade and change the oil, that's nothing really special. There's plenty of videos on how to do that. The couple things that, I did with it is I shined up the plastic up here, down there, trying to make it look as refreshed as possible. The one thing I couldn't really do much was this washed out gas cap that we have right there. That leads me to believe that this just sat outside for quite some time and got exposed to a lot of UV rays that washed that out. But in any case, I think I did a pretty good job. In addition to making it functional and doing your best to make this actually work, it's also worth making it look nice and pretty. And that's really what I try to do. My whole goal is to post this on Facebook Marketplace If it looks nice and pretty, usually you can get a good amount. The front wheel drive works awesome. The blade is sharp. This thing starts on the first pull. You know, it's a good lawnmower. In my personal opinion, I still prefer the older brands, even though you still have to prime it and hassle a little bit to get that to start. It just feels like the older ones are just built much more solid, of better quality than these newer ones. Whoever ends up buying this, they'll probably get a good 2 to 3 years out of this. If whoever buys this, I'm gonna walk them through on how to make sure that they take care of this. I'll let them know to make sure that they always use stabilizer in the fuel. This thing, I mean, was in great condition. I mean, other than it being plastic, and that's other quality issues that I see with Craftsman. This in itself does not need any parts to it at all. All I did was just meticulously clean it, take out the carburetor, empty out all the gas, clean up the carburetor, put the carburetor back in, put fresh gas in, replace all the oil, sharpen the blade. That was it. The only thing I guess I spent money on was the carb cleaner and the oil. This is a good lawnmower. It starts right away. I'm just a little disappointed in the quality of Craftsman's. But I think this engine, it's smaller, it's quieter. I'm just not a big fan of these smaller engines. I just prefer, I guess, with the older ones over there, the 190cc. I actually have a electric lawnmower, and the only reason why I'm keeping this is because I want something to mulch leaves in the fall. So I purposely adjusted this lawnmower so that it has a higher RPM, just for the whole intention of only using it maybe 3-4 times max a season, just to mulch my leaves. It's a $25 lawnmower, so all in all, I'm probably in about $60 just in parts. But I just feel that I fell in love with this. I got this lawnmower with the intention of selling it, just like I'm doing right now. But I ended up falling in love with this lawnmower. I'm just gonna go ahead and keep it. It's nice and clean. I'm gonna put this under my deck, keep it under storage, and just only use it for fall for mulching leaves. My electric lawnmower, as great as a lawnmower that it is, I feel that it's not going to do a really good job in mulching leaves. When here in the fall, it typically rains a lot, so I need something with high RPM that can suck up debris and mulch it. And this is what I'm hoping I can get out of this Briggs and Stratton. And what I love about these older engines is just with a pair of pliers, you can easily adjust the governor and have it go higher RPMs. I know that's a bad thing, that I could end up blowing a rod, but hey, a $60 lawnmower that I'm only going to use 4 times a season max, I'm pretty sure it's going to be okay. This lawnmower was easy to work on. It just sucks that everything's based out of plastic. I mean, there's pros and cons. This thing starts right away. It has an auto choke system. It's a smaller engine. Supposedly, you're not supposed to change the oil on this. I don't buy into that gimmick of not changing the oil. I went ahead and changed it anyways. The whole purpose of this video is just to show my whole journey of me going through this and fixing up lawnmowers as a hobby. This is just a hobby. I'm not doing this as a living. I'm not really looking to make a profit. I'm not even looking to fix a lot of lawnmowers. So far, this is my 4th lawnmower that I've fixed, and I'm probably going to slow down for the rest of the year. I think I've scratched my itch of tinkering around with lawnmowers. It was something that I found very interesting. It was a hobby that I didn't invest too much money. I try to buy the best lawnmower I can, either free or at low cost, in the best condition, so that I don't have to put in a lot of money. And whatever money I do put into this, typically I try to break even at most. I really don't try to sell these things for that much of a profit. I find it very interesting and fascinating working on these items. Just gave me something to do during the whole quarantine. And so far I've had fun. I have a set of tools that I purchased over a series of probably 4 to 5 years, all on my own. I'm not a mechanic. I do not work on things for a living. I actually work as a project manager for a health insurance company. So this whole tool chest right here, I got at a really good deal. It was $1.99 at Costco. I got really lucky. You know, I got a cheap vise. Not a lot of money. It's just things that I do as an interest. And that's really the whole point of this. Hopefully, if you guys found this entertaining or somewhat interesting, I know I do. And good luck to you guys out there.